You're most welcome back to the Matchbook, not weekend football, it's midweek football special. Delighted to be joined as ever by Mr. Adrian Clarke. Really loving the whole Arsenal vibe at the moment, Adrian. We'll come to that in a bit. There's lots to talk about. And also by We Love Betting's Mark O'Hare. As I said, very special, our first ever midweek Premier League podcast. If you're joining us now live on Tuesday morning on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, please do get in touch. Let us know your thoughts on this week's games. If you have any questions for the guys, let us have it. Let's have a look back at last weekend. Mark O'Hare, not a terrific weekend, mate. But look, like we said, we do shout about the winners, but let's own the losers also. Just wasn't going your way. But I will say, Mark, looking at the markets on Saturday morning, there's a very popular term in American sports, CLV, which is closing line value. You beat the market in literally every one, but unfortunately wasn't to the profitable stakes.
Yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes, Sully. As long as you're beating the market long term, you'll be in a good position. So I can't really be crying about it too much, particularly the Accrington bet. You know, who saw them being 3-0 down at half-time to Wigan? It was bizarre, really, but almost happy to just write it off at 45 minutes. You know, that bet's over. Even though they came roaring back into that game, could easily have taken points from it. But hammered the closing line value in that game. And then the Southend one, in retrospect, probably, you know, we talked on Thursday morning and certain things materialised in the coming 48 hours. Southend obviously had their fans in the stadium for the first time in a long time, and their manager spoke about it pre-match and said what a big lift it's going to give the team after they've been on such a rotten run. But also overnight on the Friday, their transfer embargo was lifted, so a couple of their players who hadn't been available all season suddenly became available. So just a couple of things went in their favour for that match, and you could tell that the atmosphere had changed a little bit around Roots Hall going into that game, and they certainly performed like that. So, beaten, but would I take the same bet again next week under the same circumstances? Yeah. Yes, but the circumstances did change. So that happens in football sometimes.
Absolutely. The race is a long one. Adrian Clarke, mixed bag for you. Your best bet came up on Friday night, which is a great start for the weekend. As ever on Insights, you didn't get the fourth clean sweep in a row, which is a massive disappointment, Adrian. I can't believe you didn't get four clean sweeps in a row. It's tough going. But
I didn't sleep on Saturday.
It was tough going, mate. But you still made a profit on the unders in the Derby game. And what was the other game? But you still made a profit there.
Yeah. We'll talk about the unders in the Championship a little bit later, I think. But Lincoln let me down on the Insights. 2 1v1s in the first 5 minutes, conceded a very dodgy penalty, and their heads went, and they got battered by Sunderland. So you win some, you lose some. But overall, just about in profit. So mixed bag, as you say.
Mixed bag indeed. And obviously we've a full slate of Premier League fixtures on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday this week. And maybe if you want to get involved, you haven't got a Matchbook account, we have a new welcome offer just in time for Christmas. Bet 10, get 10. This applies to new customers only. You have to be 18 or over, obviously, and gamble responsibly at all times. But not a bad offer. You bet 10, you get 10 for your next bet. There's a lot of games to get stuck into. And one other piece of housekeeping just before we get into this week's game. That content survey that we promoted there about 2 weeks ago is still open. You can check it out on matchbook.com/promo/survey. If you're listening to us on the podcast now, fear not. It will be in the bio for the podcast. I think there's a couple more days left in that. So as ever, look, if you're enjoying this show, if you don't enjoy it, well, if you don't enjoy it, you're probably not watching it. But if you do think there's any improvements we can make, please let us know. We are an open book here at Matchbook, and we always want to get your thoughts. So coming up on today's show, we're going to look at, obviously, we're going to start with Liverpool against Tottenham, Leicester against Everton, Arsenal versus Southampton, Wolves against Chelsea, which is a Tuesday night kickoff. We're going to do EFL with Adrian. Mark is going to look at a couple of European angles as well. And we're also going to do, as ever, midweek best bets. Okay, let's start with, there's only one place we can really start, gentlemen. Liverpool against Tottenham on Wednesday night at Anfield. Mark, I'll come to you here first for this one. Current betting at Matchbook, time recording. Liverpool at just under 1.82. Tottenham at 4.7. The draws available there at 3.92. Tottenham getting a 3/4 of goal start on the Asian handicap at just under 1.9. And the total is 2.75, slightly shaded to the over. And Mark O'Hare, just pre-recording, I generally ask what you guys are strongest on and who wants to go first in each game. You absolutely jumped in on this one, and you're really excited. Tell me more.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a great game, to be honest. I'll come to that in a bit, but yeah, a bit frustrated by Tottenham on Sunday, to be honest. I think those are the kind of games that you need to be winning if you're going to realise those title ambitions. I understand the need and the want to play in that style when you're playing the best teams in the league, but when you're ahead away at Crystal Palace, you've got to put your foot down and win the game. In the end, they were made to pay for that, and Mourinho said it wasn't the plan post-match, or at least at half-time when they were ahead, but the performance of the players suggests otherwise, and Palace deserved their share of the spoils, even if Gaeta made a few fantastic saves as well. But I think the importance really of Tottenham scoring first is evidence really under Mourinho. They've played 21 games where they scored the first goal, lost just once, and won 15 of them. So the weekend was a bit of a surprise that they dropped points from a winning position. But the first goal at Anfield is going to be absolutely crucial, and I think we'd be foolish to expect anything different from what we've seen from Tottenham in these big games. Contain, counter, pragmatic, which has served them so well against Man City and Arsenal. I think it's going to be in full operation yet again. They nullified Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge, sitting in those sort of compact blocks, and that's what lead me to what I believe is not going to be a thrilling spectacle in this game. I tweeted on Saturday evening that Manchester derby. How many times now did the Premier League elite teams play each other and it just fails to fire, really? And half of the 0-0 draws in the Premier League this season have been between matches between two Big Six teams. 9 of the 11 have gone under 2.5 goals. The goal line has been set quite high, as you said, in this game, over 2 3/4. We can get under 3 goals onside at bigger than 1.75, which is I make it around 1.73. It was 1.82 on Monday, so it's already trending downwards, and I'd get involved at 1.75 or above as soon as you can, really, because yeah, I mean, if you do have strong views, you need to bet early in these markets because they will shift against you sooner than later. And just knowing that there's 3 goals gets us a push, a nice safety net there, 4 required to lose our cash. That really appeals to me. Liverpool have flitted between being sublime and bang average, to be honest. Sublime against Leicester, ruthless against Wolves, but then quite worrisome, I guess you could say, against West Ham and Sheffield United. Admittedly, most of their hiccups have come away from home in the Premier League. Sunday against Fulham, particularly. Standards, well below their normal standards. No Jota either, and I think the signing of Thiago was key because that midfield just needed a bit of freshness, a bit of creativity, a bit of an injection of inspiration. But he's obviously been injured, and they seem to be lacking that a little bit as well. So across all competitions, 4 of Spurs' 5 games against City, United, Chelsea, or Arsenal featured fewer than 3 goals. Look at Liverpool's games against the big teams across all competitions. I think they played Arsenal 3 times, Ajax and Atalanta twice. Chelsea, City and Leicester, unders has clicked in 7 of those 10. There was only 1 goal when these 2 teams played each other in January. And actually, when you look at Mourinho's record against Klopp, 4 of the last 6 head-to-heads since 2016, also gone under 2.5 goals as well. Mourinho's not a fool. He knows how Liverpool want to play under Klopp. So, yeah, under 3 goals is my Premier League nap this midweek. And I wouldn't put anyone off backing under 2.5 either at 2.25-ish either. But yeah, under 3 goals just gives me that little bit of a safety net. So yeah, opposed goals.
And a bit better price than you actually advertised there, Mark. It's just over 1.76 at the moment. So looks a bit of not a bad one there. Adrian, you look at this game and you think that, look, this is obviously going to be a bit of a test for Tottenham. They're top of the table, and no, maybe it's kind of this is a show me kind of game for Tottenham. What do you think of this one? Mark likes an unders angle.
Yeah, I had exactly the same. So we're aligned, which is always good. We went unders, didn't we, against for the Manchester derby, and that never
glorious stuff. Absolutely glorious stuff.
I mean, that was that was such a dull game. I think this would be slightly better. I mean, Liverpool. You have to factor in Liverpool's record at scoring goals at Anfield. They have scored at least 2 in every home match in the Premier League this season. I think fans will be present as well. Merseyside's still in tier 2, so they'll have that little bit of atmosphere to drive them on. But we know what Spurs are going to do here. They're going to be really compact with that back 4. The 2 central midfielders, Sissoko and Højbjerg, will drop in and effectively make it a back 6 at times, and they're going to rely on Son and Kane, aren't they, on the break. Spurs, I wasn't very impressed with them really against Palace. I didn't think, obviously, they sucked Arsenal in the North London derby, but the fact remains they scored from their only 2 real chances in that game. I looked at the XG, under 1 in the last 3 games for Spurs, 0.95 at Palace, 0.27 against Arsenal, 0.19 against Chelsea. So they're not full of goals at the moment. They are very reliant on clinical finishing. and Liverpool, it seems, have a focus for the bigger games right now. It's a strange one. It can sometimes happen at Fulham. If you were to judge Liverpool on what we saw at Fulham, you'd think, I can't back Liverpool in this game. Not the way that Fulham carved them open in that first half, but at Anfield they've smothered teams, and they've not really given too much away, and they've been very clinical. I think not having Jota to bring on is a blow, or to start and rotate. That's not great for them. But I think Liverpool are likely to win a low-scoring game. That's where I'm going with this. I absolutely would go with Mark. I had under 2.5 because I like the price. I think it was at 2.25, 2.28. Yeah, 2.25. I like the price, but yeah, Mark's probably more sensible there, getting the push on 3. So yeah, for me, unders is the play, but I do think Liverpool will probably nick it.
Mark's always more sensible, Adrian.
Yes, that's true.
It makes sense, guys. I mean, honestly, like if it lands on 3, look, you take away, you get your money back. You'll be happy enough with that. Mark, just one question in from Shane here on YouTube. Thanks for getting in touch, Shane. Good morning, all. If you have time, can you discuss the Premier League outright trading value back to lay on Tottenham? Any thoughts on this, Mark? Because I do know that there are a lot of people who have kind of jumped on this Tottenham bandwagon and have backed them accordingly. And is there maybe a possibility? What kind of price or what kind of angle in the season would you be looking to trade out on, Tottenham, Mark? Any thoughts on this?
I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. I think Spurs being in Europa League does kind of complicate the situation a little bit, because Mourinho is so intent on winning every cup competition he possibly can. They're in the League Cup as well, so fixture congestion could be an issue. I know they've got a bigger squad at the moment too, but I probably wouldn't be looking to do anything until after the festive period, and there's absolutely no guarantee that Spurs will be in the same position come January anyway. Excuse me. I do think things will get a lot easier for the bigger teams after the festive period. I know the Champions League doesn't come back into action until February or so, but we have seen across Europe that all the league tables being led by a team outside the established champion, if you like to say. But I do expect a stronger showing from those teams after the festive period, because the schedule does get a little bit kinder in the next couple of weeks. Even with the FA Cup, a lot of the teams treat that as an almost a week off, if you like, field the reserves at the start of January. So for me, that almost allows the teams a little bit more time on the training paddock, organisation, just freshen up the squad a little bit too. So I wouldn't be, if you want to get out of the Spurs position, I'd probably do it sooner than later. But there's absolutely no guarantee that they stay there for January. But at the same point, if there is ever going to be a surprise champion, this is surely going to be the year, because we've seen already this season. But just this weekend, I think none of the big six won for the first time in over 5 years or so, which is it's almost unheard of, really. In a lot of those games, they were quite heavy favourites too. So,
that came off the back of them being having good runs, didn't it? The big six are sort of jostled, not apart from Arsenal, of course. They're probably not part of the big six at the moment, are they? But they'd got themselves into the right positions, and you thought, right, this is where they're going to kick on, and most of them blew up. So yeah, it was a strange old weekend.
I do like how you wanted to put Arsenal back in the top 6 there, though, Adrian. It was just good, but we'll give it a couple of weeks.
One day it will happen.
One day, yeah, absolutely. We'll get to Arsenal, no doubt, in a while. Let's have a look at Leicester City against Everton as the next game on the schedule. Leicester currently available at 2.25. Everton available at 3.36. The draw is available at 3.64. Everton getting a quarter of a goal start on the Asian handicap of 1.99, and the total is 2.75, slightly shaded to the over there. And Adrian, Everton, nice win for them last week. We didn't really see that one coming. It could be maybe a bit of a season turner. I mean, like, they did so well in the second half. I think like Chelsea had like 70% of possession, and they didn't give you up a shot in target. And all of a sudden, they look pretty good. But are they a bit of value here in this one, Adrian?
I find this a very difficult game to call. No one would have foreseen that, the way that Everton had been defending. You'll notice they had 4 centre halves. So 4 centre halves in your back four is setting your stall out, isn't it? And I would imagine they would look to do similar again, because what they wanted to do was deny Chelsea space for the likes of Werner to run in behind, and it kind of worked. And they'll look to do the same with Jamie Vardy. So yeah, I think it will be the same again from Everton. Very compact and looking to hit Leicester on the break. And they know, of course, that Leicester probably don't want to play in that type of game either. So I can see where Ancelotti's coming from for these two games. That change in tactic could be just the tonic for Everton. I've got to say though, Leicester were really impressive. I thought against Brighton, I tipped up Brighton to at least get a draw in that game, and they didn't come close. Leicester wiped the floor with them. No one's really done that to Brighton so far this season. Maddison was great. Vardy's just as sharp as ever. Justin flying down the right. It was much more like it from Leicester. So I think this is going to be a decent game. My initial instinct when I saw this was both teams to score, but then I looked at the price. And I think it's below 1.7. Is it 1.6 something?
1.6, I think.
It's quite skinny, so you're not going to get that much value. I backed Palace to draw against Spurs, and I think that this could be a draw. Now, history suggests it won't be a draw. No draws in the last 10 meetings between these two. Prior to that, they used to always draw. And Leicester haven't had a draw all season, which is just fine, bizarre, really.
It's 16 matches, the longest streak in the Premier League.
And you just think, law of averages, that's got to end. That's got to end soon.
Of course,
and that's where I'm going to go. I find this a difficult game, but I also think it's two even teams. You can make a case for both. So I'm going to back the draw. 3.64, I think you said. Yep. That's where I'm going.
A small play, and Mark O'Hare, when we talked pre-recording, this was a game you had absolutely nothing to do with. So I won't put you too much on the spot here, but anything to add to what Adrian had there?
Not really, to be honest. He's covered all the points I was going to make. I just think it's quite an attractive game on paper, and when he sort of decided the matches on Monday, I was like, this game looks really good to cover, but I just find it really difficult to call as a betting heat. And I made the case to oppose both teams last week, and maybe it's just a case of me sort of bloodying my nose at the weekend and not really wanting to get too involved in either team, because I have my sort of doubts over both. But I thought Everton were fantastic and full value of the victory against Chelsea. Really, really impressed with how they set up and how they nullified the threats. And Leicester were clinical as ever against Brighton. But just on Leicester, they faced they faced all the bottom 8 in their first 12 games already. They lost 3 or 4 games against the top half, so this is going to be quite intriguing to see where they actually are. And Everton, despite the sort of negatives really after a really fantastic start, have taken at least a point against Chelsea, Spurs and Liverpool so far, all in completely different circumstances, but they have competed pretty well. Adrian's right, you look at the talent on show, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, possibly James back as well. Then you've got Maddison, Barnes, Vardy. So, the market's expecting goals and you can see why, but the prices are just too short to support. And Leicester's 3 clean sheets, 3 of Leicester's 4 clean sheets have come against the bottom 6. So I would expect Everton to cause a few problems, but in terms of a bet, there's very little appeal. And I actually wrote down here as well, I'm just going to sit on the fence and back the draw at 3.6 or
see, we've got unity.
Anything else. It's a nice enough price.
Can I just say, from a sort of tactical point of view, something that would make me nervous if I was a Leicester fan ahead of the game is set pieces. They have been very poor attacking set pieces, haven't scored for ages, and they've been shaky defending them this season. And Everton, as I've just outlined, they've got 4 centre-halves, 4 big guys in their team. You've got Calvert-Lewin, you've got Sigurdsson potentially over them. Maybe Rodriguez will come in, and we know that he's got great delivery. Richarlison's one of the best headers of a ball in the Premier League. So for me, Everton at set pieces have a very good chance of scoring in this game. I think both teams will score. But I'm happy to go with the draw.
You could do a score draw, 1-1 draw.
Score draw.
Yeah, absolutely could go that way. And obviously, look, Everton have that extra day of rest too. And Mark, it's kind of a different dynamic this midweek too. Would you be kind of wary of team news? There may be a bit of rotation with teams, and like I said, it's not something we do every week, so it's something maybe to be aware of.
Yeah, great point, to be honest. And I was going to bring on to the sort of any other business part, because I'm not going to put this up, but one of the bets I was going to suggest as a potential was Sheffield United plus a goal and a quarter at home to Man United on Thursday night, which I know would go massively against the grain, because despite the league position, I think they've been not anywhere near as bad as the rhetoric suggests. They've been written off as one of the worst teams ever, and that's just not been the case at all. They've been very competitive in almost all their games. They've regressed in both boxes. However, the point that leads into what you're saying is they've got Man United on Thursday, and then they're at home to Brighton on Sunday. I'm not saying he's going to do this because I don't know, but if Chris Wilder really believes that team can survive relegation, they need to be showing top half form for the rest of the season. Is he going to target the Brighton game on Sunday against a potential relegation rival and play United on the Thursday? I don't know, and that's something that kind of puts me off, and is why I wouldn't sort of suggest anything right now. I do think if both teams play their best teams, Sheffield United particularly, I think the +1.25 is an interesting bet, but we just don't know, and we won't know until Thursday night at 7 p.m-ish. So yeah, it's something to bear in mind.
Absolutely. Let's move on. Arsenal against Southampton. And Adrian, I'll get to you in a while to talk about Arsenal. We've got lots to talk about here. But first, Mark, I'll come to you. We'll just have a look at the betting first of all. Arsenal at 2.33, Southampton at 3.28. The draw is available at 3.54. Southampton getting a quarter of a goal start on the Asian handicap. Just under 1.95, and the total is 2.75, shading towards the under. And again, these Arsenal totals are starting to get lower for good reason. Mark O'Hare, look, they lost to Burnley last night, and I don't know where you go from here with this Arsenal team. And on the flip side, Southampton fourth in the table. Is there? But I don't know if there's much value here in Southampton. I think the market has kind of caught up, Mark, a bit, isn't it?
Not really. I think there's still a bit there in Saints, to be honest. Yesterday it was very favourable. Monday it was very favourable. We could have got Southampton 175 plus a half goal start, which I thought was a really good bet. I just see today, just while we've been recording, I've got a news update for Arteta's press conference. He said he's going to take the bullets for the team as they continue to sort of struggle, but he really has to, because at the end of the day it's his responsibility, and whilst there was sort of green shoots at the back end of last season, it's just not materialised so far. And yeah, I'd be gobbling up any sort of Southampton start on the handicap here, because they're unbeaten in 9 of the last 10 Premier League games, winning 7, unbeaten on the road since the opening day against Palace, scoring goals as well. They've scored twice or more in 9 of 12, only failed to score the once. Danny Ings is fit. I think they've got pretty much a fully fit squad and available squad for this game too. And their road record under Ralph Hasenhüttl has been strong, consistently strong. They've avoided defeat in 72% of away Premier League games since the start of last season. They scored in 22 of those 25 away games as well. I just think once you get a goal away from home, it puts you in a great position to land any sort of handicap start, which is what we're looking for here. So I think only once before have Southampton earned more points at this stage of the season in the Premier League. And you look at Arsenal, they are not far off being rock bottom now. 4 home defeats on the spin, scored once in that time, 7 defeats in 10 when you exclude the bottom 3. Actually lost, I think, half of their Premier League games already this season. We've talked many times now about their lack of penetration in the final third, the lack of clinical edge. They've only got 10 goals, lowest tally since 1981 at this stage. Scored just 1 open play goal in the last 8 Premier League games. That's 12 hours of football. 1 open play goal. It's just awful, really. And only 4 clubs are averaging fewer shots in the box than Arsenal too. So, yeah, I thought Saints plus a quarter was absolutely fine. Wouldn't put anyone off back in the draw no bet, or even the away win either, because Partey's out, Bellerin and Xhaka's out as well. So, I mean, the latter two, Arsenal fans will probably suggest is a bit of a bonus. But, I think it's very hard to look at those prices right now and find any sort of pro-Gunners-based bet. But Adrian's probably better equipped to do that than I.
Oh yeah, Adrian, Clarke, fill us with the positivity. Worst start, as Mark said, the season 1981-82 season. They haven't scored in 50% of their Premier League games. They're averaging 0.83 goals per game.
Well, it's painful. Yeah, no,
but chatting pre-recording, you still saw some positives in that Burnley loss.
Well, look, yeah, it's easy to sit there and say how bad Arsenal are in various departments, because the stats don't lie. Arsenal have been desperately disappointing, and they are on their knees at the moment, definitely low on confidence. But now this might have been because Burnley weren't that good in the game. We know that Burnley are one of the stronger sides, but Arsenal created 15 chances from open play in that game. That was 6 more than in any other Premier League game this season. There was a lot more positive signs in terms of the way Arsenal played inside the final third. They still put too many crosses in. They still didn't have the ruthless finish. Finishing was poor, but I saw Saw something a bit different in the way that Arsenal were flying forward. Aubameyang was significantly better. For me, it was Aubameyang's best game for a while. He scored the own goal. He's going to get hammered. He's on a horrible barren run. But if he plays as well as he did then against Southampton, he'll score. Southampton have only had one clean sheet on the road. They do give you chances, even though I concur with all the positive stuff he was saying about the Saints. You know, they're terrific this season. And Danny Ings is a great player. I really rate Danny Ings. He's got a very good record against Arsenal as well. There are loads of reasons to back the Saints here. But for me, Arsenal have lost 4 home games on the spin. It can't be 5. It can't be. I'm putting myself in that changing room. There's got to be a regrouping. There's got to be something that changes, something that says, whatever happens today, we do not get beat. We can't. This is Arsenal. We don't lose 5 home games on the spin. I expect a reaction. I really do. And for that reason, I'm going to go against the stats and I'm going to tip up Arsenal. I think Arsenal plus the quarter goal on the handicap. I think it was around evens, wasn't it? For me, that is where I would go here, but it's not the strongest bet. I absolutely hold my hands up there. That is more based on the law of averages, and Arsenal eventually have to get themselves out of this rut. And no one thinks they're going to do it against Southampton. I think they've got a chance.
A couple of weeks ago, you guys went head-to-head again. It was the West Ham and Manchester United game. So it's 1-1 now. You've done it twice this season. Adrian, you fought back. You were 1-0 down, so you're going against them now. Mark, anything to add on what Adrian's positivity? The whole we can't lose 5 games. And you're like, no, we can. It can be done. It can be done.
Yeah, I mean, I admire the positivity. I find it hard. I've wanted Arteta to be a success since the start, and I was really sort of looking forward to seeing Arsenal grow this season, but it's getting more and more frustrating whenever you see them. I thought there was a lot of positivity about their performance in the press against Spurs, and I completely disagreed with it because the game state dictated that. Yeah. But I think Adrian's already covered it really with the caveat against Burnley. It's home against Burnley. That should be the bare minimum. You should be creating chances at home to a low block, especially if you're chasing the game late on as well. But I don't know.
Well, 10 men. I mean, they could have 10 men.
Better teams playing when you're in a losing run than Southampton at home, who are absolutely flying. They're going to come at you with everything. They're a high-pressing team. They're an exciting team. I just think I'd rather be playing another Burnley than I would be a Southampton.
Yeah. Look, with those stats, Arsenal played 10 men, didn't they, for over half an hour? So look, I think there's something to be taken there. They also have a very good record against the Saints at home.
Had a good record against Burnley as well.
No, I know, and they had a good record against the other teams that they've been beaten by. So it's this season is turning into a bit of a nightmare. There's no denying it. But I just think maybe Xhaka and Bellerin being suspended might just, and Pepe coming back from his suspension, might just 2 or 3 new faces. It might just inject something fresh into the team. I desperately hope so.
If you're just watching us for the first time and you think that maybe Adrian's been a bit biased because he used to play with Arsenal, he works at Arsenal TV, he's not always this way. Believe me, he has gone against Arsenal numerous times this season, more often than not. Been often against them before them. So look, take that on face value on what Adrian is saying there. Right, let's move on to Tuesday night games. We're recording on Tuesday morning. This game is on tonight at Molineux. And Adrian, I'll come to you first, but let's have a look at the betting first of all in Wolves and Chelsea. Wolves are 5.7. You can back Chelsea just over 1.75. The draw available 3.9. Wolves getting a 3/4 goal start in the Asian handicap at 1.99, and the total as ever in a Wolves game, especially in Molineux, is 2.25. A low one at 1.83, slightly favouring the over. Adrian, what are you thinking here, mate? Because I mean, Chelsea, I almost feel though with Chelsea that could have been maybe just a blip. I don't think we want to get too panicking about a 1-0 loss away at Goodison Park. This might be a good chance for them to bounce back.
I think so. Yeah, I do. I think that well, first and foremost, the price on Wolves at home is attractive, isn't it? That is a decent price. I mean, Mark will have a better knowledge on Wolves home games than me on starting prices, but that seems quite big against the team, even the team of Chelsea's quality. I think it'll be a low scoring game again. Wolves without Raul Jimenez, they're not quite the same. I think that much is clear to see. That focal point is missing. You do wonder where the goals are going to come from. They failed to score in 3 of their last 5 games now. Wolves, obviously, they lost to Aston Villa, even though they create plenty of chances. They lost that game without scoring. Chelsea, no goals at United, no goals at Everton. So there's 1 or 2 alarm bells ringing there. Can you stifle them on the road? I think it'll be a tight game. Obviously, Chelsea won this 5-2, by the way, last year. Incredible performance from them in that one. I think this one will be far cagier. Chelsea will certainly not want to lose 2 in a row. There'll be a real focus here. We do not give anything away. And for Wolves, they have to think that way. They always think that way anyway. They have to when Chelsea come to town. So I think it will be low scoring. I think Chelsea will nick it. 1.75-ish on Chelsea. Yeah. It seems it's quite low for a tough away game, but I do think they'll win a low scoring game. For me, this has Wolves 0, Chelsea 1 written all over it. But that's how I see it. Interested to hear Mark's thoughts.
Yeah, Mark, invariably, if you were getting, 3/4 goal start on the Asian handicap, just under even money on Wolves at home, you would be kind of tempted with that. It's a very good, strong record at Molyneux. But where are you lying on this one?
Yeah, I concur with everything that's been said, to be honest. I think initially when you look at that price, you think Wolves are big and Chelsea are a little bit short. But, we talked up Chelsea as a 1.8 shot at Everton at the weekend. They went off below 1.7 in that game. Didn't deserve much from it. Pulisic was missing, which I think at the time of recording we weren't aware of. And they did a little blunt in the wide areas, which is probably where their strength is without Ziyech as well. So there was a huge reliance on Chilwell and James to get forward and create, and Havertz didn't cover himself in glory again. So and then you got Timo Werner up front, who hasn't scored in 7 games now, 8 if you include his appearance for Germany, which is a couple of concerns there. But so it kind of puts me off the price, Chelsea. If you want to back Chelsea, I try and combine it, as Adrian says, with some sort of unders play if you can, because Wolves without Jimenez are a different team. I know there's only a very small sample, but they've lost 4 or 5 when he hasn't started. Their goals per game goes down from 1.3 to 0.4. Yes, very small samples, but still quite significant, and you can see it with your eyes as well. And then you look at Chelsea, though, they went off at 165 at Burnley, 150 at Newcastle. So, 175 at Wolves is slightly trim. Just find this game quite interesting, really, because you look at the 2 teams' records against the top half so far this season. Wolves have taken 1 point from 6 against the top half. Chelsea are winless in 5 against the top half. So something's going to have to give here. And I do give Chelsea the edge just because their performances this season suggest that they are the better team. They are the stronger team. And the market also believes that they are firm favourites to win here. But I kind of find it a little bit a tricky game to try and find something I really want to hang my hat on. Probably would be taking the unders if I had to do something here. Wolves have generated fewer than 1 expected goal in 7 of their 12 Premier League games so far this season. You look at their record since July against the better teams. They played Arsenal twice, Chelsea, Sevilla, Man City, Leicester and Liverpool. They've lost 6 of those 7 games as well. I think they will go back to their tried and trusted methods of contain and counter, be pragmatic, try and block off the channels ready for Werner and Abraham and Pulisic if they do play. Unders is a regular winner in Wolves matches, and actually 5 of Chelsea's 7 against the top teams in 12th and above have also seen unders cop this season, which kind of goes against the grain from last year too, and kind of builds on that narrative that Chelsea have improved defensively. Mendy obviously made a couple of mistakes in the last couple of games, but he's been a safe pair of hands for the most part. So I do expect it to be quite tight, quite cagey, but like Adrian, I fancy Wolves to have the edge in a low scoring game.
Just a quickie on Wolves. They've suffered trauma at both ends of the pitch with Raul Jimenez, their talisman, missing for the foreseeable. That's a big blow. They don't really have a like-for-like replacement. And at the back, they've changed to a back 4. They've gone away from the back 3. So at both ends of the pitch, there's something different. And I think, even though they're kind of more entertaining and a little bit less predictable than they were, there's something. It's going to take time, I think, for them to adjust. And a Chelsea that are smarting from a pretty poor effort at Goodison. It might not be good news for Wolves.
Under 2.5 is available at 1.84, Mark. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not a sexy bet, and it's one I am a bit wary of because of the firepower involved in the Chelsea team. But I think it's probably the best of a bunch of bets.
I had that written down. That was the first one I had down, Tommy. So yeah.
That's good. Tuesday night under at Molyneux. Yeah. There's worse place to be back in unders, let me tell you. Let me tell
Stuart
you.
Atwell's the referee as well, so expect a few cards to be flashed.
Oh, dear.
Happy days. We love an all cards bet, Mark. Adrian, take us to the EFL this midweek. Where are we looking?
I've got three. One of them is my best bet. So we'll go for two. We're starting the championship. So we went low on my insights column on the championship. I've explained it all on there. I mean, stats wise, I haven't got.
But for those that haven't, it's very good. It's a very good insight. I
can't remember the exact numbers now. I haven't got the piece in front of me, but it was around, over 60% have gone under in the championship this season. A third have gone under 1.5. Or they had until the weekend. What we actually saw at the weekend were games that had a few more goals. I don't know whether the fans played a part in that, geeing teams up. But the championship this season is full of pragmatic managers. It really is. I could rattle off 6 or 7 just like that. There are probably more. A couple of the newcomers, Ivic at Watford is one, for example. So that's part of it. And fatigue as well. The championship is always grueling. But at the moment, the players are on their knees, and I think it's affecting the quality. I think that the quality, particularly of some of the forward players, been below par this season in the championship. So it's definitely, I think, for the short to medium term, unders are quite a good place to go. There are a few games midweek that would appeal. I think Watford Brentford is potentially one, but I've gone for Bristol City Millwall low. Bristol City at Ashton Gate. 1.67 goals per game. That's the average at Ashton Gate this season. Millwall on the road. Millwall haven't won for a long time. They're on a barren spell. Battered by Borough last time out, so they'll be regrouping, which I always think is important because there's often a reaction. 1.67 goals a game for Millwall on the road. So for me, these are two low-scoring teams that can't really afford to lose. I mean, Rowett, if he loses, might be under pressure for his job. And Holden, they got bullied by Rotherham at the weekend, and even though he's doing a great job, there are question marks there about his team against that sort of physical outfit. Millwall pretty physical, Bristol City Millwall I think is going to be an unattractive game to watch. I think I picked out under 2.25 on the Asian. It's not a huge price, 174, 175. But that's.
Worry about that. I'll be backing that. There's no issue there.
Yeah, well, I mean, the stats tell you there's a good reason to. So we'll see what happens. My other EFL pick is in League Two. Bradford just sacked Stuart McCall. A lot of problems behind the scenes there. You've got some of the players potentially having too much of a say. I think the infrastructure is poor at the club, and they go to Crawley, who have picked up 16 points from 8 home games, and I think they're the second or third top scorers at home in League Two. They've scored 4 goals in 3 of their home games, Crawley. Max Waters has been a revelation since he joined in the summer. Bradford are on their knees. Crawley are a very strong home team. This is not a nice place to go, no matter where, what time of the year. But midweek at Crawley for a big club like Bradford, I've been in dressing rooms. They won't fancy it. I think it's a good price. 2.25. You can get on Crawley as a home win to beat beleaguered Bradford, who are rock bottom of the form table, even worse than Southend over the last 10 games. So they're my 2 EFL picks.
All right, sounds good. Mark O'Hare, we haven't got to the Christmas break quite just yet in Europe, but where are we looking this week?
Italy, Wednesday, got 2 fantastic games in Italy. Juventus Atalanta as a curtain raiser, and then you got Inter against Napoli in the evening game. But I know the Premier League teams at the top end of the table aren't really producing fantastic matches, but they certainly are in Italy. If you look at Napoli's 3 matches against Milan, Atalanta and Roma, all featured at least 3 goals. Inter's game with Milan in the derby also did as well. So I like the Napoli-Inter game to have over 2.75 goals. The line's around 1.85 for that. Not a huge amount of information really to add to probably what everybody knows really. These are 2 very top-heavy teams, 2 attack-minded teams coming in from the weekend. Napoli were behind at half-time against Sampdoria, but made a few changes and were excellent in the second half. Fully deserved the points. They're now in contention for for the title, the Scudetto, really, despite having those points taken off them against Juventus earlier in the season. And then Inter created loads and loads of chances at Cagliari away in Sicily, and deservedly won the game after being from behind as well. But they've conceded twice or more in 4 of their 5 home games in Italy, shocking the Champions League too, and their defensive record is very questionable too. So yeah, expecting a good game between those two teams. But the other match, I just hold fire for right now, but at the moment, Sassuolo plus a quarter of a goal away at Fiorentina. It looks really quite appealing. The reason I say just hold off is their head coach, Roberto De Zerbi of Sassuolo, said on Friday after they beat Benevento 1-0, his team looked really tired, looked exhausted even. I know that's played quite a lot of that game with 10 men, but they haven't looked themselves in recent weeks, and that's a kind of concern. They're a team who kind of thrive on the inspiration and sort of electricity of their play, very quick interchanges. But at the same point, they're going away to a Fiorentina team who are just in all sorts of bother, which is quite sad, really. They're a great club. Since Cesare Prandelli came back, he had great success with Fiorentina a decade or so ago, but he's under fierce pressure after just a handful of games. The ultras were down at the training ground at the weekend to warn the players. The squad's been put into
a good sign. That
the squad's been put into a retiro, which is basically a training camp, very common in Italy. When teams are underperforming, they kind of have to go into a training camp and locked off away from friends and family. Ribery's not been fit and not been firing. They've been hugely underperforming, just 2 wins all season. They've got loads of game changers in their team, but they've just looked totally lost from an attacking standpoint. So, yeah, that's one to watch. I just want to see the team who's really performed, sort of pulling the trigger there, because I think the market has moved slightly against Sassuolo, which is a bit of a concern. So, I'm kind of holding off just now.
So you're holding fire on Sassuolo. Yeah, the whole ultras thing didn't really work with Inter and Milan. I don't know. It's probably definitely not. It doesn't seem to motivate teams enough. Probably just scared.
Inter are just a shambles on and off the pitch sometimes. I mean, at the weekend, the president's kind of complaining that Antonio Conte is a difficult character to deal with, and Conte's been angling for another new deal and more money to spend in January. It's just a soap opera from.
Yeah, if the equivalent of the ultras sort of storming the training ground here is probably watching Arsenal TV, isn't it? Arsenal fan TV. Right.
So
I mean, thank goodness that's not allowed here in this country. The Arsenal players would probably be locked away right now, wouldn't they?
It's kind of hard to source baseball bats around North London as well. Adrian, I would suggest. All right, gentlemen, midweek best bets. Adrian kicks off as your top selection.
Well, I've gone for this partly because of the price, partly because of team use, and partly because of what I see with my eyes, and that's a Norwich team that are flying. Norwich go to Reading, which on paper is a great game. Reading have had a stunning start to the season. Norwich are top. And they've got Pukki firing, and Buendia's in good shape as well at the moment. Some of the players are coming back from injury. 10 of their 11 wins have only come by 1 goal, Norwich. So they're not blowing anyone away, which is a slight caveat here. But Reading have got 3 of their best players missing. Omar Richards, really influential. Fullback is out. Mate is out, and the key one for me, Lucas João, is out as well. Now, the 2 guys up top make such a difference to the way Reading play, particularly when they're breaking away. And I think that might hurt them in this game. They have already lost 3 home games as well at the Madstad Reading, despite their positive start to the season. It's not a fortress. And look, anyone that saw the highlights of Blackburn Norwich, I mean, it was a great game, great advert for the Championship, but Norwich were at it, pressing high up the pitch. They created bundles of chances against a really good Blackburn team. I just feel that they're in that zone at the moment, Norwich City, and I think they'll go and beat Reading. And the price appeals 2.38 for Norwich to win this game.
Yeah, not a bad price. Marco here, your midweek best bet.
Yeah, I've already mentioned it actually. Tottenham against Liverpool at Anfield. I'm going to take under 3 goals. It's Mourinho in a big game. It's almost a blind bet sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. An automatic one. Yeah, I like that angle. Okay, so we didn't, I forgot to recap at the top of this, but let's have a quick recap of what we have got. As Mark said there, his best bet, and Adrian's in agreement, they're under 3 at Anfield. Leicester, Everton, struggle to get one, gents, but I think the draw at 3.64 worth maybe half a unit play, and it's obviously a big price, so you don't need to get too carried away. Disagreement on Southampton and Arsenal. You can decide yourselves which one you want to go with that way on the quarter goal start in the Asian handicap. Under 2.5 in Wolves against Chelsea. Adrian obviously has 3 EFL selections in total, and Mark obviously gave that total in Italy. And obviously, Mark, I think you might be able to tweet out maybe tomorrow about the Sassuolo one when you know more. So we're not going to lock that in as an official play until we know the team news. All right, gentlemen, pleasure as ever. We're back on Thursday again, like less than 48 hours after talk to each other now. Christmas-wise, guys, we're looking probably, I think, the 22nd to cover Boxing Day's games. We'll skip the 28th just so we can have the leftover turkey, and we'll be back again the 30th, 31st, that kind of way along. Adrian, thanks to you as ever. Best of luck with Arsenal tomorrow, mate.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah, probably need a smidgen of luck there. Mark O'Hare, thanks as ever, mate. Bounce back midweek. I think I can sense it is coming for all of us. Thank you for watching today. Thank you for listening. We'll be back, as I said, Thursday to look at the weekend Premier League games. Until then, best of luck with your midweek bets, and we will talk to you Thursday.